I don't care what you did in your career the last 5 years. What are you going to do tonight? Be fired up to fight. Try to finish the fight. If you want to get into the UFC and this is where you want to be Joe Pyfer.
Welcome back to another episode of Combat X with Alan Dawson, brought to you by Swerve Combat. You can catch us on the Roku channel, on Fubo, Vizio, Zumo, and Prime Video. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please like the content, subscribe, because it helps us grow the channel a lot and means we can keep bringing in guests like my next one. This man is in the process of building a stacked resume in the UFC's middleweight division, having wowed Dana White at an audition. He's got record-breaking dynamite in his hands, which is why they call him Body Bags. He's also the focus of a new documentary from the Daily Wire, which I encourage you all to check out. And he's fighting once again later in the year, which he'll tell us all about today. This is Combat X, Joe Pyfer. Welcome to the show, champ. How you doing?
Great intro. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Joe. I mean, you're one of the fighters I've seen a lot of in Las Vegas. I was at the Apex when Dana gave that immortal speech about be Joe Pyfer, and I was there for your knockout win and your UFC debut. And I think for pretty much all of your Vegas fights, you've got the kiss of death to your boxing, and you've shown top tier jiu-jitsu too. I think when people see you, I think they think your story starts with that speech about be Joe Pyfer, but really it starts so much, before that. When do you see your story starting?
From the time that I started jiu-jitsu, man, since I set out on this path to do what I'm doing now. And I think it started at a very young age, about 4.5 years old, man. And then probably with the first competition at 5 years old, doing a Naga tournament. And, that's kind of where my journey started. And obviously it's been years and years of preparation and years of envisioning and, finally obviously being able to see it come to fruition. And, now I'm in the UFC doing my thing, but it definitely started at a young age.
Being in a competition at 5 years old is wild to me. I've got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old too. My 5-year-old's they're both into sports. My 9-year-old does jiu-jitsu, but my 5-year-old's just getting into things now. But, competition at 5, what was that like? Can you remember, like, your nerves? What was going through your mind at that time?
Nerves were a lot less of a factor as a kid because I think you just do everything out of enjoyment or out of, pleasing your parents and whatnot. So I would say it was more out of, just doing it because I was told to do it. And, I didn't really think much about it. I can't remember too well how I was feeling, but from what I do remember, it wasn't that much pressure on the very first competition. Now, moving forward after that, there was a lot of pressure and I didn't like it, just because of the way that it was portrayed. In my father's point of view of representing his name and things like that. And obviously the first one went very well and I won and I submitted everybody. So it was all good. But then moving forward after that, it kind of changed. The gear really shifted to where I didn't enjoy it that much. But the first one, I dealt with the nerves very well. And, I was happy. I was smiling the whole time. So it was fun.
I think that's the main thing, as long as you're having fun in there. But I mean, like with your story, it doesn't, like we say, it doesn't start with that be Joe Pyfer because that was your second appearance on the Contender Series. What was the pressure and the feelings like, with that loss through injury? You fought once since then before returning to the Contender Series. I think this is one of the things that defines you as a fighter, because it's not just the finishes, but the competitive spirit, the determination. But did you have doubts after that loss? Were you always confident that you'd get a second crack at the Contender Series?
Yeah, so when I broke my elbow, I was told that I was going to get an immediate shot back. At least that's what I was told. So I had this envisionment that I just had to go. And this was said, almost immediately after I'd hurt myself. So then time passed and I was out for a while. So I can understand the UFC's point of view of being like, okay, go and get another fight. And they weren't going to have me back. And, I was butthurt about it then. And I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder moving forward. Like, these motherfuckers don't believe in me no more. And it's over. And I lost sponsorships. I lost friends or people I thought were friends, and basically all I did was just have a cleanup crew of the people that were fake around me. And so I just really honed in, man, joined a new team, got, new coaching and things like that, which I'd been needing to do just because I didn't have all the pieces to the puzzle yet to go and really make a run at a title run or anything like that. And I made those changes during my injury and during the surgeries and things like that. Even before I was able to train, I went to Marquez with John Marquez, my head coach now, and Jonathan Webb, my jiu-jitsu coach. And, I implemented them into my life and, spoke to Sean about it, Brady, and because I'd known Sean since we were teenagers and things like that. So, yeah, man, it was, I felt a little bit doubted. I came back, I got the win. And then when I got the second appearance, I always knew I could get back if I was able to be healthy. But the problem was, am I healthy enough? I'm being told my career is over, dealing with the first year of the first surgery, doing all the rehab basically for nothing to just go and reset back from square one. And then get another surgery, and it was just, it was a nightmare, man. So it was definitely bad, and I knew I couldn't fight with the way I was based off the first surgery. So, God put a certain doctor in my life, and Richard Tosti, and he was willing to, I went back to the first surgeon that did my first surgery, and I was like, look, like, something's wrong. I have crazy nerve pain still. I can't extend my elbow. Like, there's no way this is the rest of my life. There's no way this is as much as we can get. And he was like, look, there's nothing we can do. If I do another surgery, it's more likely to dislocate and all these things. And so I went and got a second opinion, and this was the second opinion, the guy that did the second surgery, and he told me there was a 30% chance of success without nerve damage and all these other things. And I said, well, that's good enough for me. I cut him off mid-sentence and told him to schedule the surgery, and we did it like 3 or 4 days later. And I started the road again to recovery and getting myself healthy, and I got cleared literally the week before, 2 weeks before I fought my return fight for CFFC. And hadn't picked up a weight, hadn't done any weight training or anything, was just doing drills and drills and drills and drills, and went in there and fought. And obviously I proved to myself and the world that I could still do it. That's really what that fight was about. So I'm glad I had a fight in between. I think it really built the confidence in myself and the reassurance that I could do it still. And I was able to make another run at getting in the UFC. So when that second opportunity came, I was more than ready, and I was pissed off.
I think, even us as media, I know as fans, we see a performance and you just, you think the journey starts and kind of, well, not ends there, but you think this journey ends there. But there's so much going on in fighters' lives, not just with the injury and recovery, but heading into that second Contender Series event. I remember you were facing homelessness, and Dana, extended a kind of olive branch to you, not just with the contract to the UFC, but helping out with, rent for a whole year. Did he check in with you through the year to see if you were good or needed an extension? How was that kind of process and agreement with Dana to kind of, keep you, basically sponsor you at the start of your journey in the UFC?
Yeah, so after I won, he didn't check in with me after that, but after I'd won, I had his number, and I thanked him numerous times for it, because it really did give me a boost to be able to train full time and not have to worry about my living situation and things like that. And, you don't make that much money winning a Contender Series fight, at least to live off of. And it's not like I had parents I was living with. I'd already moved out of my coach's house at that time. So it was like, I was facing being homeless again, but I didn't give a shit about any of that. All I cared about was making it to the second opportunity and seizing that moment like I did. And I wasn't telling him it other than, hey, look, this is what I sacrificed to be here, bro. All I told him is I was about to be homeless on Friday and all these things. And he was like, all right, well, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know what I need. I just need to find a place to live and, have enough money to be able to have a place. And he gave me money on the side, and that's what paid for that next year. And, there was no written agreement or anything like that. He just did that out of the kindness of his heart and the realization that he could make a difference, and he did. And, me and Dana are in good graces. And, I'm forever thankful for that moment and that piece of history that I wrote for myself along with my team, So it was a monumental moment in my career, especially the way that I did it, being the only one that got a contract, being the only one that's yelled at Dana White, but it was just my passion. I'm a resilient motherfucker, and I did not go away. And so I couldn't tell you how many people wrote me off, man, but it was all the way it was supposed to happen. And I'm here now, and I'm stronger for it, and I'm thankful for it. And no matter what, you're not defined by wins and losses, but by the effort that you give. And I give a lot of effort, man. So, fans can be critical, friends can be critical and all that, but I know at the end of the day, I've given my 100% every single time, and I will continue to do so for the rest of my career and anything that I try to do in my life. So, yeah, it was a huge moment, man. And Dana was a very genuine person in that time of need.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, another famous story I remember covering of yours is you famously broke the punch record at the UFC, topping Francis Ngannou's power. What did you make of all the reaction to that news? Obviously, Francis is one of the most devastating punchers in MMA history, really. Heavyweight as well, and then middleweight comes along and smashes those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that positive for me because everybody kind of doubted it or didn't believe it or was like, there's no fucking way. When you look at Francis, you look at Joe, and I'm like, yeah, the dude's a massive fucking guy, but there's still a way to punch hard, man, and it's not all about size, speed, impact, all that shit. And he's a big guy, so he naturally should hit harder, but is he throwing it the same speed I am? Whatever. But it really wasn't that positive. I was proud of it because I've always known that I've hit very hard, and Alex Pereira hit harder than I did, and I'm not sitting there saying, oh, that can't be true, he hit harder than I did. So he broke Francis Ngannou's record too, but they gave him all the credit for it because he was out there getting knockouts, and so was I, but he was doing it against the better competition. So, hats off to him. He hit harder than me. I wanted to hit it again when I didn't have a torn labrum and the machine was gone by that point. I hit that record with a torn labrum, and I shouldn't have, but I did. So, I was excited to go and get it again and see if I could top it even more. And they got rid of the power cube, but yeah, no, I wasn't really a positive light because so many people talk shit about it, not believing it was true and all this. And I'm like, well, the fucking video doesn't lie, brother. Like, it is what it is, man.
What do you think's the key to generating power in boxing for mixed martial arts?
I think it's just having all the right things, right? The speed, the timing, shit like that. Obviously hitting a power cube is just about putting everything into it. And that one shot. It's not like you have to really worry about accuracy. It's not like you really have to worry about timing. It's just speed and power, turning your hips, rotating. It's everything, landing the punch at one shot. And I have a really good understanding of how to throw very, very good power shots. And yeah, that's all I would say to this. But honestly, man, at this stage, like, even if you're not the hardest hitter, it doesn't take the hardest hit to knock somebody out. So, what's it good for? I don't know. Bragging rights, but, I'm proud to have that bragging right as one of the hardest hitters. Whether people believe it or not, I know it's true. And it is what it is, man. I don't look too far into it.
I love all fights. I've covered MMA a lot, especially since moving to America. But, I have been boxing first. I know that sport better than I do MMA. I know you're fighting October 20th. Are you tempted to come back to Vegas a little more? October the 4th, sorry. Are you tempted to come to Vegas a few weeks earlier to check out the Canelo-Crawford event that, Dana's going to be putting on at the Allegiant Stadium?
No, not at all. I'm worried about me and my fight, man. I'm not. You know what I mean? When I'm in camp, I'm worried about me and me only and my fight and what I got to do, my job. I'm not worried about, I'm going to watch the fight for sure. But I'm not going to, go out there early this isn't a game, you know what I mean? So I don't have time to fuck off and worry about other people's shit. I got to worry about mine. I'm fighting the number 14 guy in the world, and that's enough in itself. The number 14 guy in the world, he's got double the experience that I do. He's a tough dude. He's a dangerous guy, and I'm going to give him all the respect that I can in preparation and preparing to absolutely dismantle him. So, yeah, no, I won't be playing no games, getting out there early and trying to sightsee or nothing like that. When I get to Vegas, I'm going to be there to do my job.
I want to talk about that fight, but there's just a few things like, things you've said in the past that I'd love to, bring back and, get a further take on it. Like you've said before that you had to figure life out the hard way. And I think this is one of the things the documentary at the Daily Wire is really like, helping tell that story. You said there is no success without the journey. You once said you had to, quote, figure out how I'm going to graduate high school in the face of abuse and homelessness. Do you think street smarts and pain-earned wisdom are undervalued in today's culture amongst men?
I think common sense is 100% undervalued, and I think that's what comes from all the things that I've endured, is just having common sense and being a man and making decisions, even though they're wrong sometimes. You have to make a decision. That's part of being a man. And, you know, I didn't have any guidance for a long time before my wrestling coach really stepped up and, you know, housed me and did all those things for me and taught me what it is to be a man and how to, you know, do things the right way.
You know, we see like politics and sports have merged, I think, for years. You know, President Donald Trump, I think, is the most sports-friendly president, you know, America's probably ever had. You know, even going back to the 1990s, he was quite prevalent in boxing. You know, we've seen him at a lot of UFC events over the years. And he's been at one of your events, right, as well. Have you gotten to speak to the president?
Yeah, I got to, not like a conversation, but when I fought Kelvin, my very last fight, he was there. And when I got in the cage, I made sure I got his attention. I said, yo, this is for USA, motherfucker. And he fucking pointed at me and gave me the finger. But like, even the way that I say it, right? It's not, you know, I just come off that way, but it's just not, you know, I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm like, yo, like, I'm happy to represent my country and, you know, I hope you enjoy it type thing is kind of how I meant it. And let's get after it. And, you know, those are cool moments for me in my career to be able to fight in front of the president. When I fought Joe Mearshart, he was there, but I wasn't on the main card. So I didn't get to say what's up to him or nothing like that. But, you know, now I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to make sure I get the president's attention. It's a good milestone marker in my life to be able to say I fought in front of him and I won and things like that. So, you know, little things like that mean a lot. And at the same time, still being locked in to go out there and do what I got to do.
Like, Joe, right? Like, you're obviously an American athlete. I think you're also kind of epitomize the American dream. Kind of, you know, it's like a rags to riches story. You've experienced hardship and overcome adversity. You know, I think it is a very American quality to be like politically engaged as well, which you are. How badly would you want to fight on that White House card next summer?
Yeah, very badly, man. As long as everything goes well in October and I do my job and I'm able to take out a booth, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, I'm a very American fighter and I'm proud to represent it. I'm one of the few that walks out with the flag almost every time, and if I'm allowed. And, you know, I'll continue to do so. And, you know, when you put me in there, I'm going to try and knock somebody's face off. So I'm not in there to play games or win decisions. I'm in there trying to get the finish all the time. And I've proven that in my record, you know, and I obviously couldn't finish Kelvin my last fight. It was kind of boring after the first 2 rounds, but that's also, you know, part of our game plan was to, you know, counter him when he would come after us and being aggressive. And after the first round, he really didn't engage with us that much. So it kind of led for a boring fight. But, you know, nonetheless, I thought it was dominant. And I still dropped his ass twice, head kicked him. You know, I hit him with some shit and he was tough enough to deal with it. And, you know, you can't knock them all out, man. But I damn sure will try, you know, and I proved that. So, yeah, put me on the fucking card, bro. You know it's going to be a fireworks show.
You mentioned obviously this show at UFC 320. You know, your fight with Magomedov. You enter the Octagon off the win, like you say about Kelvin Gastelum. What are you looking to achieve in the fight against Magomedov? And, you know, knowing that, you know, this, you know, marquee event, we've had them a lot in the UFC through the years. International Fight Week is usually a big one. We have this, you know, UFC Sphere. The UFC keeps on going big with these events. I'm expecting nothing less with this White House event. You know, are you looking to kind of keep putting on these statements to put yourself in the best positions so you can compete on those shows?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not looking past, you know, if that's a possibility. Like I said, if I handle my job, but my statement I want to make is finishing this guy. He's got double the fight experience as me on paper. But, you know, I've been in the game a long time, and I think I'm really hitting my stride as far as maturity in my career and understanding the fight game very well and just understanding me as a fighter. And I think that's going to be my best showing. And I really think that I can finish this guy, and I think I can put him out. And that's what I want to do. I want to put him out in devastating fashion. And that's going to be my intention, is to punch through his face and play him down and take consciousness from his body. So that's my intention. And, you know, I hope I'm able to go out there and prove that. And like I said, I know he's a tough dude. I'm a tough dude too. So it takes one little error to have somebody put out, and, you know, that works both ways. But I just think I'm going to be a lot smarter. I'm going to be a lot more durable, and I'm going to be I love this stigma that everybody thinks I gas out, and, you know, which I stood in between every round during Kelvin Gastelum because I wasn't gassed. It was just a game plan thing. So,
you know, George Foreman used to do that. He used to
yeah,
take his stall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've always taken the stool. That was the first fight I didn't, and I felt good, man. I felt very present. I wasn't hurt by anything. I was very aware. I got hit with one big shot in the whole fight, and people made a big moment on that because they have high expectations on me. But it is what it is, man. So yeah, I want to make a statement, and I want to finish this guy. I want to send him back to Russia or Germany or wherever the fuck he's from, and let motherfuckers know USA is coming for that belt.
I know you say you don't want to look past, this next fight, but what would be your dream opponent in 2026? You've mentioned Craig before. There's kind of this I think inner American rivalry with Bo Nickel, potentially. What would be your ideal? Let's say you do get on that White House card. Who would be your ideal call out, your ideal foe for that?
Shit, man, put me against fucking Bo Nickel. I've been saying for a long time, he never really got his shit checked. He'd never been hit in a fight where he had to fucking dig deep and figure out what his why was. He doesn't have to fight. I'm sure he's well off money-wise. He's very successful. He's an amazing wrestler. He's a good-ass human being, too. I didn't like how he was, fucking basically dog-walking everybody. But I also wasn't happy to see him lose. As a fellow American, I want to see him do well. I want to see all the Americans do well in the division. So I don't have any hate for him towards that, other than the smug responses of him thinking that he could just absolutely smash anybody, having not fought anybody that tested him. But whatever, that's confidence and belief in himself. I was hoping he beat the Ritter, to be honest. Like I said, I didn't like seeing him lose, but at the same time, it was a lot of people told me I got fraud checked when I fought Jack Hermanson, and I'm like, look, I didn't get finished, I didn't get rocked, I didn't get dropped, no nothing. I lost in the later rounds, gassed out, had a fucking shitty camp, and a lot of things that didn't line up well for that fight that I shouldn't even take, but I did. That's what you do. Sometimes you're not fighting at 100%. But yeah, man, let me get that motherfucker. Stop protecting him. Let him fight some real dudes. Let him hit some motherfuckers that can actually defend takedowns, that can actually fucking, not just let some fucking 3 mile away takedown entry fucking get in there without making him pay. I'm a very savvy fighter, and I think Bo Nickel would be pleasantly surprised at how well I can wrestle, and especially in MMA. Now, straight wrestling match, he'd probably chew my ass up, but this ain't wrestling. This is fucking MMA, and I know how to fight very well, so let's get it.
Yeah. Oh, mate, you got me pumped, both for this event coming up and for everything down the line. Joe, thanks so much for sharing more of your time with me. You're always awesome to speak to, talking about your life, your ups and downs. If fight fans want to see more, you've got to check out that Daily Wire documentary. Keep following Joe's journey. Support him at UFC 320. Joe, if you've got any last messages to fans, please share. The floor is yours, champ.
Yeah, man, tune in on October 4th. Let me know you're on my team if you are, and let him know if you're on his team if you are. So just be engaged and be ready. It's gonna be a fireworks fight, and I'm coming to take his fucking head off. So stay tuned. It's gonna be a fun one.